Such a good jam. I love it. I love it. Oh, welcome everybody. It's a new series that I'm having right now called Riding with Roland that I'm just starting out. As you guys know, I got the new Range Rover, so I was like, oh man, I got to take it out. I wanted to enjoy myself and all of that, but also I wanted to, create something a little bit more engaging instead of me being trapped inside my cubicle all day, trying to not get trying to get out all the time. And I live in the beautiful Seattle area, so near the waterfront, near these huge mansions of houses all around me, and a great environment. And now that the weather's changing here in Seattle, it is the place to be. If you don't live in an area that you find desirable, if you feel like you're kind of stuck and you want to get out, but you don't have the finances or the credit to do so, let me tell you, that's what, we're here to help with at Creditor Academy. We're here to go ahead and make the difference in your life that really matters. And one of the ways that we do that is really to get you the foundational knowledge you need to position yourself back into the republic. So that's for one. And then the second thing is, man, we get your credit game up. Your credit, the whole commercial system is based off of credit. I remember when I was in college, they'll give me anything that I want. Oh, you can go to nursing school. We'll pay for that. And I was like, what, really? And they're like, yeah, we'll pay for that. And then they're like, oh, you need some walk around money. We'll get you a credit card. We get you a couple credit cards. So ever since then, I've really taken a liking to operating off of credit. Huge benefits within it too. And now I got the Range Rover. I love it. So that's why I was just like, I want to be able to not only enjoy where I'm at, enjoy the new whip that I got, but also, tell a little bit about myself and bring you guys along the journey and all of that to where I'm at. So this is right down the street from my house. I'm like, check it out. I'm right by a place called Lake Washington. Lake Washington. Oh, it's a big lake. It's a huge lake. It's one of the deepest lakes. Oh, it's so large. It's so large. Well, anyways, yeah, thank you everybody for kind of joining me. The story was this with the Range Rover went like this is, I always prepare before I walk into any place about how I present myself and how what kind of vehicle I want, and also to make sure I got my finances right. And so I can tell you guys a little bit about that, which I will in just a moment. But first, I want to start with Creditor Academy updates. The update is I want to first off thank all of the new masterclass members that have joined us here at Creditor Academy. What's exciting is you guys get to see my standard. I actually had a conversation. I'm going to be having a upcoming interview with another guru, huge channel, 80,000 subscribers on his channel. And we hit each other up and I was just like, hey man, we got to do a collab here. And he does a little writing episode too. He's got like like a Dodge Charger or something like that. I still think my Range Rover is a lot cooler. But then again, I have kids. I have a daughter. So I have like the whole little back seat going for for her to go. So I would like a sports car, but I had to find something different. So we're gonna have a collaboration interview here in a little bit. He's on a vacation right now, so as soon as he gets back from vacation, we'll do a little collaboration on that. But I had a conversation with somebody else on another channel besides his that we talked about being a educator, like a professor, someone who has an expertise or knowledge in a specific subject versus education. The difference between a professor and an educator? Have you ever heard that before? Before I even got into this movement, I didn't really know what the difference was myself. So what it was is basically I got into Creditor Academy. I went on YouTube. My YouTube videos went viral. I think the first video got like almost 50,000 views before it was taken down, almost 60. And then all my other videos got like 30, 40,000 thereafter and whatnot. And I was being a professor and educator on Patrick Devine in his final process, which I love Patrick Devine. Man, I listen to that guy all of the time. I remember shooting hoops at LA Fitness, and I have my like beats on, and everybody would come up to me like, hey, you want to play a game of pickup and shoot the ball around? And I was like, no, I'm in school right now. That's what I would tell people. I'm in school. I'm learning right now. I'm learning from Patrick Devine himself. And I was so immersed into what Patrick was teaching. I remember, for hours, which was great exercise, but for hours I would listen to him to where his voice was ingrained in my head. If you have been listening to Patrick Devine for some while or heard his old recordings, I mean, the guy is so smart. He's such a genius. He knows so much. But he's very straight to the point. He's very direct. I like that about any leader or educator. But he was an educator. He was a professor. He taught about a subject he knew very well, and he liked researching. Then I got to, after my video went viral, I got to really understand, the weight of being a professor. People have questions, and I had questions even too. Man, if I would have been around during Patrick Devine's time and been sat with that guy on the phone and you just see him and his smoker, he was always smoking. He was a huge smoker. But anyways, you would be like, you guys want to get... No, the first thing you gotta do to UCC and the common law is smoke on that cigarette. I can hear him on the phone. And then he would, people would ask some questions. He was like, oh, so this is how it goes, and this is how you break it down. And here, no, you need to go ahead and go in this office, you see, and you go ahead and fill out this paperwork. You look at my templates. And someone would ask a remedial question or something like, it's like, we tried that, it didn't work. Why are you bringing that up again? We're moving on. Why are you paying attention? It was a lot. And, and other channels where I like sat down, I listened to their channel for a little bit, and I'd be like, wow, some people get really frustrated with people's questions. I'm not that type of person. I like to be patient. I don't care what kind of question that you got, or if you need, I really do want to take the time to help people have an understanding about what this whole movement is about. This whole is about four things, and I laid it out into my academy to do that. The first one is you need to know the basics about sovereignty, how the system views you and how the system treats you. So that's where I have my freshman course called Sovereignty 101. Sovereignty 101 is all of the basics. A lot of people are just lacking the basics. Over the past 15 basics of jurisdiction, they can't pin you down. The second thing is all about the hierarchy. The basics is to know about where you're in the hierarchical system of this movement. Okay, there's only five positions you can be in. The top position inside this movement is God. God is the supreme sovereign authority over all things on earth, okay? The second position to God is we the people, okay? His creation. The third position, now I'm getting into the U.S. Republic, but the third position is now the states, the sovereign states of the Union with their own constitution, okay? They are the trustees of the public trust that act on the best interest in behalf of we the people, right? So we the people started a public trust, and we needed trustees to manage it. And below the state is the federal government. The federal government is the ones that are they're subservient to the state and to we the people. And what they're supposed to do is really help the states. It's not like if you have a fugitive goes across lines, they created a Washington state, but escaped to California. Now they're going out of the state into the federal jurisdiction. The feds notify the state of California and help assist in this person's arrest, and prosecution and can bring them back to the jurisdiction of Washington state. Or if they commit another crime while in the state of California, then they could be tried there. But they violate the state and the federal statutes, right? And then finally, the final position within the hierarchy, which is the most critical position because this is how most of us are operating, are artificial entities. They are the subordinates to the federal government. They're the subordinates to the federal government. Do you like these seats, by the way? Look at these seats. So this is the autobiography of Range Rover. This is their highest trim package. So it's got the massaging seats. It's got the huge dash here. Let me look at this. Oh, I love this. It's got the open compartments. It's got so much room and whatnot. But I love this infotainment system as well. So it's everything for your media player, your navigation, your phone system here. But Range Rover, made by Land Rover, I mean, it's an off-roading vehicle. That's what I love. That's why I was talking to my wife and I was like, I want this vehicle. It's a luxury SUV that's an off-roading vehicle. So from all of the, things that I can do here, I absolutely love it. I can even, I don't know if you can see this. I can also raise the car. Yeah, I'm raising right now. I don't know if you can tell. See how I'm raising? Isn't that wild? Dude, that's huge. That's so much raising. We're raising the roof. We're raising it. Just by that simple button right there. I love this. Anyways, it's got a V6 twin turbo in it and more tech than I even know what to do with. And then it's got a little ice chest or refrigerator in here, or freezer. Yeah, it's a freezer, which I love using. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Artificial entities are the subordinates to the federal government. The federal government is what, through our birth certificate, put us into the position of an artificial entity because of the birth certificate and the straw man. I say over and over to people, if you can understand the hierarchy, I mean, I've heard many people explain this movement many different ways. I honestly think that if you can explain the hierarchy, you can explain this to you can explain this to a kid and they'll have the understanding of it. So basically the hierarchy is where our enslavement is at. If you can get out from being an artificial entity and back into your rightful position under we the people, then you'll have your authority over the state and federal government, and then they are subordinates to you. And this is why they can't inflict anything on that's a superior. How can you govern or control your creator, right? So that's why it's so important. The mission of Creditor Academy is to get you back into your rightful position, out from being an artificial entity. So we start by doing that with freshman year, which is Sovereignty 101. We get you your basics. Don't consent into their system and learn their tricks, and then you won't fall for it. That should be the basics. That's included with your masterclass membership. And also it's an ability for you to find out what my standard is. Every organization can be determined by the standard of the dean or the CEO. The standard of the CEO is going to be the quality of your education. That's why I hire instructional designers with degrees that put together your lesson plans and your modules. Listen, this is more than just me getting in front of a camera saying, well, everybody, welcome to Creditor Academy. Well, that's cool. I'm going to review some documents and I'm going to talk to you about what I know. No, you need successive learning. That's why one of the great things that I love from Dr. Sarah Montessori, who invented the Montessori model that I went all through my elementary school career doing, was so impactful because it was the freedom to understand what learning is. And learning is all about natural curiosity and also to go at your own pace because everybody learns at different paces. So I did the Montessori model all through my elementary. Then for some reason, I don't know, the state of Washington just said, well, Montessori model, I know you've been doing it for like 8 years of your schooling, but it just doesn't exist in high school, which made no sense to me. So I had to like keep up with the class. They forced me to learn what they wanted me to learn, and I lost that freedom. And the same thing that happened in college, it was a totally different learning system, and it really soured the learning experience. So that's why at Creditor Academy, I made it Creditor Academy Private Montessori Association, right? Because you get to learn what you want to learn, what you're interested in at your own pace, with really structured lesson plans and reference material, documents, templates, and the like. And my instructional designers are also Montessori previous professors. They get you to understand how they keep you artificial entity and how they get you to consent into being an artificial entity under the federal government control. Now we have to figure out, okay, great, I know the basics, Paul Michael. Now how do I get out from being an artificial entity and reclaim my position under the authority of we the people? Sophomore, become private. That is the first actionable step for you to reclaim your rightful position as really the American of the nation, American of the nation, over the state and the federal government. And then your job for the rest of your life is to maintain with people and make sure that you don't fall under the jurisdiction via your consent or your non-response or your silence into their jurisdiction once again, which they do through contracts. Okay. So now you got the basics. You reestablish yourself as become private. What's included in become private? That's your SP section. That's your private ID and badge of authority. And we go through all of that and more. Here's the exciting thing, though, that I include. Yeah, then you get to learn what it means to become private. So you get a little bit of everything in that regards. Then junior year. Okay, now you become private. Now what's the next step? The next step is now you need to know how to operate privately. Okay, I'm going to explain this kind of like the hierarchy thing, like I just did before. Okay, to really map your head around this. Okay, and I'm going to talk about my father for a second. My father, he was actually in the interview with me last time during my live. So my father, he lives in the statutory realm. He just, oh my God, it's too bright. Okay, never mind. So he lives in the statutory realm, and he does statutory trusts. He does insurance. He did people's taxes. He was a tax preparer and all of that. So growing up, like, I knew all of this stuff just from and all the like. So I understanding about what this subject is. So he taught me this, as well as business registration and whatnot. Then I do go into starting my own businesses, and down the line, I start my own healthcare licensing company and I worked with the Department of Health in all 50 states. I had attorneys. I had 17 attorneys on staff. I had 20 customer service, account managers, other individuals, recruiting and staffing and all that. And I was really geared towards the healthcare in home health. I already ran a home health agency here in Seattle when I moved back. I did that for almost 3 years. So I was like, I already ran a home health agency, hired CNAs, nurses, therapists. So why don't I go ahead and I know licensing? And when I do the licensing, why don't I go ahead and help other people start their license? Why don't I go ahead and do that? So I got into the legal sphere, and I was so good at it because, the Department of Health, I got a lot of statutory codes and all, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward if you follow all their policies and procedure manuals and the like. So it was about 5,000 in order for it to be submitted to the Department of Health. Now, here's the corruption behind the Department of Health. I'll say two things in particular. Is as soon as you supply the policies and procedures, the business registration, and you pay your fees to the Department of Health, you're in. Now you start a healthcare business. There's no really, I mean, there is a check on your company itself, not like a deep check. They're really just checking your office and your supplies inside of your cabinets, and then they walk out. They really rely on the policies and procedures. The policies and the procedures is the heartbeat of your company. It's by which you're going to do all of your processes for patient care. So that's primarily what they look for. Now, in doing this, I came across a individual who taught me about business trust, and I swear I'm getting to a point here. Just follow me on this one. I taught someone abrupt because it was so simple for me to grasp, and because I did business registration for all these different companies: LLCs, S corporations, C corporations, sole proprietorships, nonprofit healthcare businesses, you name it, right? But here's the thing: there's a hierarchy in the business registration realm. Here's what it is. It goes S corporation, or it goes C corporation, S corporation, LLC, sole proprietorship, nonprofit, and the others. Okay, those are your business, right? Those are registered businesses, right, with the state, in order for you to get that tax classification, because that's what it is. It's just taxes. That's your tax classification. Okay. You know what's below a registered business? You know what's below that? It's going to blow your mind. It's a business. A business is different than a registered entity, like an S Corp, C Corp, LLC, nonprofit, and sole proprietorship. A business means unincorporated. Isn't that interesting? Okay. So when you go to a cocktail party and you're talking with people, I mean, it's a social norm to say, hey, what business do you run? Right? Like, no one says, what S Corporation LLC do you have? No one says that while you're drinking martinis. They say, what business do you have? Maybe they'll say what corporation or what company do you run, but it's a social norm to say what business do you have. But a business actually means unincorporated. That means like Johnny Joe Lunch Bucket gets a little lawnmower and starts mowing lawns around, the neighborhood. And then as soon as they mow the lawns around the neighborhood, then they get paid for what they're doing, right? And that's called a business. So then when you go do your taxes, this is where the tax preparer, like my father, is listening to what it is that you're running. A tax preparer is the one that asks you, do you have a business? Do you have an LLC? Do you have a corporation? They're the only ones that are going to ask that, right? So bring it now to my friend. My friend comes to me and he says, Paul Michael, you know about the hierarchy and whatnot? And I was like, yeah, I know about the hierarchy of businesses. I do it all the time. I have people sign a power of attorney over to my licensing agency, so then I can, or licensing company, so then I can, do the business registration for them. And then they tell me, they elect what it is that they want to do, right? And he's just like, okay, here's where a business trust comes in, okay? A business trust is a unincorporated business, like I said in the hierarchy, with a tax class identifier as any one of the registered businesses. And I said, what did you just say? What? You know what I said to him? I just say, did you just tell me a business trust is an unincorporated corporation? Because that doesn't make sense. That sounds like an oxymoron. And he says, no, I'm saying that it's not incorporated at all, but it has the ability to be an unincorporated business with the tax benefits of whatever tax classification you want to give it. And as long as it's notarized, any bank will accept it. You can get lines of credit or loans through it. And because you're unincorporated, you don't have to follow the statutory code. I was like, what? 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 Huh? Where you get that? Prove it. Prove it. Show me where it is. And he was just like, you ever heard of something called American jurisprudence? Well, yeah, obviously, because, I got attorneys and we go through case law, American jurisprudence is basically, you ever read the Bible or buy a Bible, like a King James version, and then you go look at the Cliff Notes of I remember reading the King James. My parents were like, you gotta read the King James. And I'm like, oh, this won't be complicated. So I was reading the King James version Bible. And sometimes the ye's, the they's, the thou's, and all that, it was complicated. And sometimes the chapters were hard to read. But they had what's called the pastor notes at the bottom. They were basically a summary of the chapter. And they were spoken to me in layman's terms. It's almost like, for dummies, the book series for dummies, whatever subject that you choose. American jurisprudence is the pastor notes or for the dummies of case law. It has a summary. It shows the actual case law, but it gives a paragraph to 2 paragraph summary of what that case law means. Because the case law is sometimes hard to, gather. So you read the American jurisprudence for dummies, case law for dummies, and then you start putting the picture together. And I was just like, well, what section is this? And he's like, 2nd edition, volume 13. And I said, okay, I'll look it up. And I looked it up, and I was like, wait, there's only 450 pages. And he's like, I know. Now, why is that significant? It's only 450 pages. Because statutory trusts are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. I mean, just looking at the statutory laws for the Department of Health, is enough to make your eyes go sore for days. It's so much reading. It's so much. And every state's a little bit different. The statutory codes are so... They keep you regulated so deeply because there's just so much to know and read. But you're telling me that everything I need to know about a business and how to run it is in 450 pages? I was just like, a kid could read this. A kid can. And you got the Cliff Notes. So it's like easy. You don't even have to read the case law that's underneath. You just read the for dummies part, So I read that thing really quickly. And then he's just like, Paul Michael, after you read this, now you know the law. Now you only need the second part, which is the strategy. And you can only get strategy from actually doing something, right? It's kind of like this car. I love the steering wheel. I love all of the infotainment buttons that it has and all the little dash stuff. I read the manual to this thing because there were so many things that it's capable of doing. And after I read it, I was just like, all right, now I just need to actually drive it. Look at that moonroof. Is that a sunroof or a moonroof? I don't even know the difference, but it's huge. Look how big it is. Credit card. I love it. And I love these seats too. I only recommend the autobiography. Okay. So now I read that. Now I'm just like, wow, this is really simple. I don't have to go through the state at all. So I applied this immediately to my licensing, and I started telling people, hey, you got to do a business trust. He's like, why would I do a business trust? I was like, because you get all these other benefits. You get privacy, you get asset protection, you get no depreciation, da 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 blah 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 da da blah da blah blah, all this stuff. But the problem is, people would come back to me like, I have to educate myself about business trust, Paul Michael. Well, don't you have to educate yourself the statutory laws when it comes to a business registration? Don't you have to call Washington State business registration hotline or the Secretary of State and be like, hey, I notice you have filing fees and reporting fees and a Washington secured login. I heard that I got to fill out these state forms in order to tell you how much you need to tax me and how many employees I have and everything. It's like, they're examining you deeply, man. So don't you have to learn all that? Wouldn't it be easier to learn something once and then be like, wow, I don't have to do any reporting. I just do it on my 1041 at the end of the year and then I'm done. It's so much simpler. So then they were like, well, Paul Michael, can you educate me on this? So I educated people on how to run a home healthcare business and then how to do business trust. That was my first ever introduction to the private. That being said, so that's junior year of the academy. Okay, so now we go into senior year. And then I'm going to wrap this up because I got to go. It's like 30 minutes past 5 o'clock and it's dinner time. So the last one that I needed to know what I added to the academy was the unlimited credit. Okay, guys, I'm telling you, I had a business partner, smart guy, kind of arrogant. We didn't get, this is why I love my last business partner. He was so into himself. He was so prideful, and he could have ideas, but when it came to the action, he didn't want to do anything. You ever have like that someone in your life, someone where you try to talk through things and then they want to say, no, my idea is better. I'm like, okay, let's go with your idea. Now we have to talk about implementing it. Well, I don't want to implement it. I just want you to agree that my idea is good and have everybody figure it out. And then I get the credit for the idea. That was a lot. And one of the things that was frustrating is he was all about personal credit. And I used to be too. When I first started my own my business, I got personal credit and I used the personal credit for my business venture and all that. But then you have to pay it back and you had to, you're on the hook and then all these people are calling you and, being like, hey, you owe us this money and whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm broke. So, the company's insolvent. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. You took it out on your personal credit card. We're coming after you personally. I'm like, okay. All right. So business credit is an important thing just to learn. Like, just forget about, put the sovereign movement aside. You just need to know how to use money that's not yours and make sure that it falls on another entity, because that's what all these rich people do anyways. Now we're just teaching you how to do it on a business trust through an entity that you control but don't own, because ownership means liability. That makes sense? So we put it on the business trust, and right now we get about $200,000 for individuals in about 2.5 to 60 to 90 days is what we say. So people vary, because we have people in class that, they set up their business trust and they start applying for credit cards and applying the lines of credit to their entities. And there's some of you that apply for a credit card once a week. To apply for a credit card takes like 15, 20 minutes for a business entity. It doesn't take long at all. But some of you are like go-getters. You're like, I can do one a day. So that's why some of you get it in 60 days and other people get 200K in 90 days. So it's just dependent how motivated that you are. Motivated to get a Range Rover. I was so motivated. I was looking at my wife and I'm tired of this sedan. I can barely fit the kid in. I got to sit down low. I need an SUV. So I was absolutely determined and I was over it. And I kept on working all the time at Creditor Academy. I would have excuses to say, well, I don't have time to go get a vehicle, or I don't have time to do this. So, and then eventually I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm over this. I'm over this. Especially when she said, let's go on a trip this summer. And I was just like, well, I'm not going in the sedan. We're getting rid of that. So anyways, same thing. Went in, had my business credit. They checked the line of credit and they were like, cool, you're approved. Go ahead, sign here, press hard. They give you the Range Rover. The Range Rover can be utilized for my business, which it is. It's a business expense. Why did I get a Range Rover, you might ask? I was also considering a Porsche and a few other cars, specifically because certain vehicles have tax write-offs for business if they're a certain weight. I think it's like 4,000 pounds, 3,000. It's like 4,000 pounds. If you get 4,000 pounds on a vehicle, you get a huge tax write. You basically write off the whole car. So I was just like, all I got to do is find a really heavy car. Well, I can do that. And all the luxury vehicles are that. And that's why these, business owners buy Porsches and all the like, whatever. By the way, Porsches are actually pretty inexpensive. I went on online, like you can get a Porsche for like 15 grand. I was very surprised. And, the reputation of Porsche, has a certain connotation on how much it costs to fix it, right? So, yeah, you can, and then just utilize the business. So here's where it comes into 2-lane road here, okay? Because some of you are utilizing and getting lines of credit through us, and you already bought, your vehicles, you bought a house, and whatnot. Here's the caveat to it. Let's say I stop paying the payments on this Range Rover. What happens? They come and take the car. What happens? Very simple. Okay? So how do I make it to where I utilize my unlimited credit with my private entity to get the Range Rover and not have them repossess the car? You got to loan a loan. You got to loan a loan. I did it through the IUL. I'll give you another, if you don't want to go the IUL, the Index Universal Life direction, you don't have to. But basically, get a loan, get the car, utilize the IUL, borrow against the IUL to fulfill the debt on the car, and then pay back the IUL or not pay it back at all because it's insured or it's got a debt. So basically, it's like, the waterfall method from the Rockefellers, right? Anyways, I'm not here to get into that very deeply. I'm here to give you a realistic example. Is basically you utilize one loan to get the car, and then they have the title, and then you use another loan to pay off the other loan, so then you can get the title. Or you can do what's called a balance transfer, which I think I would recommend more than the option number one. A balance transfer is just basically say, hey, I have the ability, or I have the line of credit in cash, I have enough credit, 100,000. Let me do a balance transfer. Give me the $89,000 for the Range Rover. I'll take the cash itself of the balance transfer. Now it's just cash. Now you pay for the Range Rover for that. Now you owe the payments to the credit card company, but if you stop paying them, they can't take the Range Rover. This is not legal advice. Did I start with that? This is all for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as legal advice. Okay. So there's another strategy to it. Isn't that amazing? Wow. So in that senior year of Creditor Academy, we have everything that you need to succeed. I'm seriously telling you this. I've done so much research into this movement. I've gone through many different pathways, and I'm here to tell you it's as easy as freshman, learn the basics, sophomore, become private, junior, learn to operate privately, and senior, get access to your credit and live the life you always want to. There's no reason to be poor. There's really not. Especially with 60 to 90 days, that's a great turnaround time for 200,000. Geez, if you would have taught me this in college, I don't know where I would be right now. No, I have an idea. I have an idea where I'd be. I have an idea. I have two ideas. It's good I'm married with a kid now, so I don't have to think about any other situation but this one right now. Anyways, this has been Riding with Roland. I appreciate you all joining me today. This again is my new series, so I'll pick this up every once in a while. But I'm excited to go on this journey with you. I'm excited for you to join Creditor Academy. Just see my standard, man. I have put my heart and soul into, and my team has too, to Creditor Academy. And I just want you to check it out. But don't just check it out for a month. Really commit. A commitment to me is a year. to really see it through, try my program, but at least get into the masterclass membership, get access to, you can see the standard myself. I mean, people with master's degrees in instructional design, like myself, and with a full team around the clock 24/7, I mean, we're here to help you succeed. We are invested to your success. And the reason why is, follow me on this. The reason why is because as soon as you graduate, you're going to graduate with 200 grand. That's a huge incentive for me to make sure that you succeed. Why is that? Because Creditor Academy is but one stage in my life. Just like you learning this stuff is but a stage in your life, right? It comes and goes and you move on to bigger and better things. The next stage for me is to work with the graduates of the Academy, with you. Because now that you know the foundations, now that you've become private, know how to operate privately, and you know how to access this credit, there's no more teaching for me to give you. Now we can operate in commerce to the max and really invest in some big ideas and big things. I already started a second company. I'm not saying what that, and I'm letting people know who graduate, you know, you may want to invest in my other company. You may not. But maybe you have an idea and I want to invest it in. I have credit cards all lined up into subject matters that I don't. And that's what I'm excited about, is meeting those of you that have an idea, that have a passion, and now have the capital at 0% APR, by the way, are willing to take a risk. And really, I mean, what's the risk, right? Like, oh my gosh, I lost 60 days. I mean, whatever. All right, fine. Do another 60 days, right? So if you have this drive and this passion to go this way, the first thing I would say is become a masterclass member of Creditor. Collection agencies after you, and you don't know where to go, and you don't know what to do. The first thing that we should do is get you Remedy now. Look, I have a fanny pack. I always wear my fanny pack. My fanny pack's got my little wallet, little keys, my ID and badge. Always wear a fanny pack. Been doing that for a while now. So, let's just get your credit figured out first, you know? So we have done over $2 million. So we have done over $2 million worth of credit off of people's accounts. Probably our largest one was like 3-4 weeks ago. They'd had 300,000. That was the biggest one. Wow. They had a bankruptcy. Then they had student loans. Then they had credit debt. So all of that can remove. I put it this way. I don't say anything, but I haven't met someone that we can help. Talking about in at Creditor Academy to enforce this. So if you go to www.creditoracademy.com, you'll see where to become a masterclass member, which, by the way, we have a special right now. We have an amazing special. So if you really want to commit for a year, which you should, because I want people who are deadly serious, not mildly curious, okay? Because the people who are deadly serious and going to stick with me for a year, you're going to make it, man. We're going to make it. We're going all the way. It's not going to stop, man. You're going to get your own Range Rover. If I got it for me, why don't I get it for you? Right? So we're going to make it. But you got to commit. You got to go to my standard. You got to do the lesson plans. You got to fill out the paperwork. You got to show up to class. You have to connect with other like-minded individuals. I have the best learning management software in the world. Thank you, Cypher. Love Cypher Learning. Super great platform. Awesome to see them. Keck was a great guy. Oh, what a great guy to see. Anyways, but LMS is huge, And you know what the other, that's why I I've talked to some other guru channels and I was like, hey, tell me about your LMS platform, your learning management system with the modules and whatever. And they were just like, yeah, I didn't really invest in that. I didn't see the reason why I should invest in an educational software platform. And it just blew my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me. Some people even have, school or university or academy in the name of their whole thing, and they don't use an LMS. And that's just like saying, oh yeah, I download all of my apps on my flip phone or on my jitterbug. Like what? Like how do you, you need a smartphone. You know what I mean? How are you going to download apps without a smartphone? You know what I mean? So it's like someone telling me that, you download apps on a flip phone, on your Razor flip phone from 2006. Remember that? Oh, those Razors were cool, man. Remember the Razors? They were like this, and my brother had one. It was so cool. But anyways, so yeah, you need a learning management system at least, and you need a good one. You don't need this $50 a month, run of the mill. I mean, how much are you investing in people's education if you're paying the $50 a month and they're like, oh yeah, you can have all these people on your platform, and then it's just going to be a broken system where the modules don't go through clearly. People are going to have questions. The buttons don't work. It's bad for the end user and it's bad for you. So Cypher is the best LMS platform in the world. That's hard to come by. So I'm here to say that I invested in people with master's degrees for instructional design. I invested in the best LMS system in the world that other universities use. I put together a very comprehensive program, Succession Learning, to get you to succeed with the templates that I know work, that I've used. We have proven track record by discharging $2 million in that. And I created a masterclass membership so then you can see our standard from the get-go, because I include freshman year of Sovereignty 101 with your membership. So at least commit to a year. Does that make sense? Why do you good job on all this work. I think I'll do it for 2 weeks. No, you're not. Get out of here. There's hundreds of hours worth of really structured material to get through, but you can make it, you can do it. I really believe in it. Anyways, it's going to be great. It's going to be great to see you. A lot of busy people. I gotta go. Oh my gosh, it's 5:45 p.m. Thank you everybody for joining me today. This has been Riding with Roland. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your loved ones.